That brings me to our next segment, which is like common mistakes when building an MVP and what to avoid. So Reza,
So one of the main thing people overlook is it sounds very simple, but when you get into it, it gets complicated. Is that focusing on the problem and solution? So that is the core of every business. You have a service or product that is a solution to a problem that is in real world, and defining it correctly and finding traction in that is the main point of an MVP. It should just address that. And I've made mistakes. I'm going to go over them shortly. I've made mistakes. I've seen other people are making common mistakes. This is like something that every entrepreneur goes through at some point.
Everyone does it. And I think mistake number one would be over features. We already kind of mentioned it because that's the most common mistake. You build something, you packed it with unnecessary features to test your product really. And each extra feature is time, is money, it's more development, it's more resources. So I think that's the common mistake, which I made myself as well in my startup. And for sure, thinking about it now, there are some features I'll let go during our MVP stage that were just nice to have, really unnecessary.
I think that's a main common mistake, that people build their product to what they want it to be, and they forget that an MVP could start a lot more lean. Mistake number two that I went through myself is wrapping it into marketing kind of gimmicks, because I come from a marketing background and I want the product to look good, to be on brand, to communicate well. And then a couple of months later, you don't know whether it's the marketing that is selling or it's the actual product, and you can't distinguish those two. So if I go back and do my product again, I would do an MVP without any gimmicks and marketing. And once I see the traction, then I add marketing on top of it.
Okay, I think another common mistake, mistake number 3, is not having a defined budget going into this. Your MVP should be really defined in some sort of a budget term, and otherwise it just becomes something that could be a black hole that you add to and add to and add to. You really want to know, okay, what you are going to spend. Maybe spend half that, because for sure you'll have some bug fixes, you'll have to do some QA. You'll have to create more features from the result that you are witnessing. So I would definitely
that's something I've been guilty of that. I had just a loose budget in my head, and I went double that budget at the end, and I was like, wow, either I didn't do a good job of researching whether that was an appropriate budget to set, or I didn't have the correct guidelines and I just went with the product.
I think you can never really know. So estimate the budget in a way that you would, and then double it, because you'll need more. You'll always need more. There is always something to fix. And of course, it's not just you're building an MVP and that's it. You're building an MVP, you're putting users through it, you learn a lot from it, and then you have to make the necessary changes. As we talked about in so many of the episodes here, it's not just about, building an MVP, that's it, I'm done, finished.
Absolutely.
No, the work just starts. So leave yourself with something to fix the crucial and prioritize also your bug fixes. I'm still running with some bugs right now that I'm just low priority bugs. That's not a big deal if a 1 in 1,000 user will encounter a minor bug in the system. It's all about prioritizing.
Common mistake number 4, I believe, is the misconception of somebody's going to steal my idea. A lot of people have ideas. Chances are out of 7 billion people, somebody thought about your idea. So it's all about execution, and people start building their product, and they don't want to show it to the world, and they get surprised when nobody's buying their product because they've never even showed it to anyone.
Yeah, we spoke about it on a few episodes already. That's definitely a stupid mistake, not just with MVP, with anything. I mean, not sharing your idea or asking for people to sign an NDA just to hear your idea, and those kind of stuff that are common for early founders, but don't really mean much. So we definitely...
Worst case, I think, when it comes to idea, is asking close friends and family, and they're fueling your biases because they just want to say you have a great idea. You have to go out there and ask the people who are going to open their wallets and pay for your idea. Even I've seen a lot of freemium products, freemium SaaS services. They go and test their MVP with free users and they love it, but they never turn into a paid user. Go find the paid user and see whether they're going to do it or not.
Yeah, for sure. And another common mistake that we just have to put out there, mistake number 5, is the platform that you use. Easy to make the mistake there. You have iOS, you have Android, you have web, assuming it's a digital product, and really choosing the right platform to start with, and also within the platform, the right development platform to choose. It might be a bigger deal than you think, and it goes back into market research and know how to time it and really choose what you start with. Maybe iOS is good enough. Maybe you don't need a native app. Start with web if you can, if it makes sense. So it's a really important decision before even starting to develop the MVP, to choose the right platform based on your market and potential paying users.
So I think it's like a chain. It goes hand in hand. Your target audience, your product, and obviously the platform and all that. So throughout MVP, the whole idea is for you to test different products, different markets until you find the right product, problem solution, and the right market. Because sometimes you have the amazing product, but you thought certain people would like it, but it turns out some other categories of audiences, they like it a lot. So you change target audience. Or sometimes when you dig deeper within your existing audience, you figure out they have a different problem than you thought, and you change the product. So MVP is the amazing time that you can do pivots on target audience, marketing, messaging, the problem solution. That's when you have the freedom and the agility to do all that.
Yeah, the one thing that you will have trouble pivoting around is actually the platform. So make sure you're choosing the best one. Yeah. And I would assume you can only choose one for your MVP. So if your product is going to be a native app, I wouldn't do it for iOS and Android at the same time necessarily. I would choose one of them which has more of the market share within your paying customers, and then test it over there and show that I can scale. Maybe then raise money to develop the Android app or the iOS app or the web app or whatever it is that may be. So I would argue to choose one platform that makes the most sense to start with.
So Nick is here as